Good morning, everybody. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for joining us today for our overview of our CheckMate dashboard and our Safe Alone app. And on behalf of ProTELEC, I'd also like to thank all of you for your business with us through CheckMate over these past many years. My name is Rial, and I and Randy Pokrant will take you through this overview. I'm one of the owners of ProTELEC, and I oversee the CheckMate side of our business. Randy Pokrant is one of our CheckMate safety consultants and one of our true experts in safety. Now, during this webinar, because we're going to go quite quickly, if you have any questions, please submit them as we go along, and we will try to answer them throughout the talk. We know your time is very valuable, so we promise to take no more than 30 minutes. And as we move quickly, we'll also provide our contact information at the end of this presentation so you can call or email us with any further questions or if you'd like to discuss anything in more detail. I thought we'd start with a brief history of ProTELEC and then jump into the CheckMate Safe Alone app and look at the many features that we have. And then from there, we move on to the dashboard and walk you through all the features on it. So let's start with ProTELEC. ProTELEC Security and Safety has been protecting life and property for over 50 years. My dad started the company back in 1968, and then it's now run by second generation, so two of my brothers and myself. We are 80 plus employees strong across Western Canada, and we have branches across Western Canada. We install, service, and monitor security systems, access control, and video systems, and then we operate our own ULC listed and 5-diamond certified emergency monitoring center. And really, it's that monitoring center that we run along with our dedication by our staff to providing the best service possible is what we feel really sets us apart from our competition. Now, CheckMate we developed back in 2003, and it's really grown into a suite of safety products and services. The main service, the CheckMate Working Alone service, really has grown from just providing automated phone call safety checks to texting safety checks and our app, and the Safe Alone app as well. And we now protect thousands of lone workers across North America. And last year, for example, we did over 2.5 million safety checks. So CheckMate's a really large part of our business and something that we really focus on. Now, I'd like to turn this discussion over to Randy, who's going to provide a brief overview of our Safe Alone app. Now, he's going to be using it from his phone, so you'll be seeing this live on his phone. And he's using the latest version of our app, which has not been released yet, but we will be releasing it in the next 2 weeks. So we're quite excited to show you some of those latest enhancements as well. So Randy, if you'd like to carry on, please.
Thank you, Rial. Good day to everyone on the call today. I'm just going to take a moment here to start the broadcast here of the app. We were just doing this a few minutes ago and it was working without a hitch here. So
now maybe while you're doing that, Randy, I'll just, as you see the app in front of you, this is what would be on your lone worker's phone. When they open up the app, they would go to this screen, and it really would provide them with a number of options, but you know, all the features of the app. And of course, to start the safety checks, they would hit the activate button. But before we get into that, and Randy will get into that, there's the emergency button. And by pressing that, that'll generate an alarm in our emergency monitoring center, and it will send the GPS coordinates of the phone as well at the time of alarm. So we'll know where the user is when we get the alarm, and then that those GPS coordinates will be updated every minute until the alarm is resolved. And when our operators receive that alarm, we will then call the user. That's our first step, is to contact the user to determine what the issue is. And then depending on what the issue is, we will then take action. Normally, well, it again all depends on what the issue is, but quite often it will involve us then notifying alert contacts to provide help to that user. The emergency button, as I said, it sends GPS coordinates, and then it updates every, as the user moves. Now, from a emergency perspective, they can press that for any type of emergency, whether it's that they're in physical danger, their car's broken down, they're lost, whatever the issue is, they're welcome to press that button, and then we will call them, and then we can, depending on what help they need, we can assist in whatever way we can. How's that going there, Randy?
Just trying to get connected back into the meeting here. Cancel. There we go.
Yeah. So we're just about to pull up Randy's phone, and then you'll be able to see the app live. And then he'll move into talking about the activating the safety checks and into the various features of that. There we go.
Yeah, so again, thank you, Rial. I think Rial was just talking about, you mainly were running through the emergency button a bit there, Rial?
Yeah, so we've covered the emergency button, so you can really move on to...
Yeah, move on then from there. But again, thank you for everybody. I apologize for those technical difficulties. These things tend to happen sometimes with these Zoom meetings. But, I wanted to just start off by saying how really excited I am today to be, speaking with you about the CheckMate Safe Alone app. As I like to use all these sports analogies all the time, and I say this has been a real game changer in the way that users can interact with our CheckMate Working Alone service. So, and I think, one of the key benefits of the app is really just how easy it is for someone to, a user to activate their safety checks throughout their workday if they're ever working alone or working in isolation. And with a single tap of a button, another great benefit is just how easy it is to do a proactive check-in. So that's a real helpful features. And of course, the app has all kinds of other important and useful safety features as well that I'll explain here shortly. So, as Rial had alluded to earlier, and as many of you probably know, our CheckMate Safe Alone app was built on our CheckMate Working Alone core service. And the app is there. It's available to any user that's set up with the service. It's a free app available. So please, if your users have, certainly they would have to have a smart device, something like an Apple phone or an Android phone or a similar type of tablet. If they have that smart device, then certainly I'd say please take advantage of the app. So, so the screen again here that you're seeing now, this would be the main screen that someone would see when they first opened up the app. And the way we're going to be showing the presentation today, this is for a user that's set up with a 24/7 schedule with full rights to activate and deactivate the service as they need it throughout their workday. Again, any day of the week, any time of the day. And it's certainly becoming the most common way that we're setting up the service and being requested to set up the service for many users now, especially for users that have the app. So Rial talked about the emergency button already there. It's available anytime for a user to use if they ever get into any kind of difficulties. I'm going to take it from the point now here is when at the beginning of someone's day of when they want to start their safety checks. And that's really the core service here. And just to show you how simple it is to do that, I talked about it earlier, and it really starts with simply tapping the activate button there. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And there we go. So you'll notice the large green check mark that shows up and shows that you're activated. You'll see the current default frequency is set for 2 hours, and the timer is starting to count down. And you also see when the next safety check time is due. So it's at 1:10 there it's showing. And when you first activate it, also provided a GPS pin that is recorded in the, for the person's location, is recorded in the map view in the CheckMate dashboard. And that'll be something that Rial will be telling you a little bit more about shortly. So in terms of how CheckMate functions now, and this is something that has been unchanged. It's been the way CheckMate was initially developed, and that some of you are, of course, that are familiar with the service are probably already aware of, but I'm just going to remind everybody how this works. And it's 100% consistent in the way this has functioned and still works today. So when the time counts down here, when that timer expires, the user is going to receive their first notification that it's time to check in. And the first notification can be configured to come into the person as either a phone call or a text message. And if that user does not perform their check-in at that time, then 3 minutes later, they're going to receive a second notification that it is again time to check in. And that second notification, it will always come in as a phone call to the user. And if both of those notifications are not acknowledged by the user, that's when the missed safety check alarm occurs and is generated in our emergency monitoring center. And again, this is where our operators will immediately respond. And just to note that 3-minute delay between those two notifications, that is something that can be configured in the initial user setups, but the normal default is a 3-minute delay. So at that point, or at this point, when the person has not acknowledged both of those notifications and hasn't performed their safety check, that's when the missed safety check alarm occurs in our emergency monitoring center, similar to an emergency alarm event. And our operators will, again, immediately respond. First thing they're going to always try to do is first reach the user. And if they happen to reach the user, and they'll just be asking the user if everything's okay. They'll be asking the user for their PIN number and also asking if maybe they'd like to resume their safety checks or possibly deactivate the user. We know at times people get busy and they miss their safety checks, and that's not a problem. We don't charge for false alarms or anything like that. So we know at times that happens. However, if our operators try to reach the user and they are unable to, then again, they would immediately go out to that predefined alert contact list of people, and they would be notifying those people that this is now a missed safety check alarm versus emergency alarms. This would allow the alert contacts to provide the appropriate response for that missed safety check alarm event. And at the same time, our alert contacts, or our operators, I should say, will be providing the alert contacts all the known location tracking information that we would have for them, again, via voice recordings potentially, or written location tracking information. And of course, the GPS location pins that we would have at each time the person has checked in the past. And we would notify them when was the last known time that the person had performed a successful safety check. So that's the process of how the automated notification check-ins come into the user, and also what happens during a missed safety check alarm. And that again is unchanged from the way it's always been, the way CheckMate's operated from the original, from day one. So the nice thing about CheckMate, and I talked about this earlier, is just how easy it is. The nice thing is that you can do a proactive check-in. And it's so simple to do that. So if a person, is busy throughout their workday and they're working on their tasks and whatever they might be doing, but they get a bit of a break in their day and they want to go, they can just simply go to the app here, and where it says check-in here on the app, they can tap the check-in button. And you can see they've now recorded another successful check-in. It showed the green check mark there. It reset the time to 2 hours, and it's as simple as that to do that. So very helpful feature there to do these proactive check-ins, and a person can do as many, if they're set up for that, to do as many as they would like throughout the day. Changing frequency. I'd like to show you this too. Of course, we know that people throughout their day may experience various risks or hazards that there might be a need to increase or decrease their safety check frequency depending on what they're doing. And with the app, it's very simple to do that. Where it says here every 2 hours, you can simply tap on that and it brings up a menu for the user where they can now simply tap on, and for instance, if I wanted to go to every half an hour, if I wanted my safety checks to come in more often, I could change that frequency. You can see now the clock is now showing 29 minutes and it's counting down there. So again, a very useful and simple way to change safety check frequency.
I think that's something that can't be stressed enough is your lone workers should be aware and should be comfortable with doing that. Their risk situations could change, and if they enter into an area that makes it much higher risk level, they should certainly bump it up. And it can only, it could be for just 15 minutes or however they need it, but they could even bump up to every 5 minutes if the risks were so great. So yeah, that's definitely something your lone workers should be aware of.
Yeah, and it's something that, we would even say if somebody is new to using the app, that if they wanted to test the service, you can actually set it to 5 minutes and actually go through the process and listen to the calls. The automated attendant will call and try it out that way, or you could even go into an alarm event if you wanted to test it that way as well and see what occurs. I'm just going to change this back to half an hour for at the moment. And again, I'll just record another successful safety check there. I've done another one and reset the clock to 30 minutes. Right now, I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the options under the settings. So in the lower right-hand corner of the main screen here, if I tap on where it says settings, it brings up this menu here. The first one that says send location coordinates when checking in, activating, deactivating. So that allows the GPS functionality to work and the mapping features within the dashboard for the app. And that's something that I always say, should be turned on, left on, maybe harnessing your policy and procedures for your organization, really to allow that functionality to work. So it is a user toggled option, but really should be left on all the time. The second one here, I'm going to demonstrate that one that says prompt for text location when checking in, activating or deactivating. So when that one is toggled on and I hit OK, I want to show now when I go to do a check-in, if I tap the check-in button, it brings up this location box here. And what it allows me to do is now provide additional details in terms of journey management, where I might be headed, what I might be doing, what room number I might be in, a site address, or anything that I want to do. And I can type that in there. As I picked on the location details, it brought up this box. It opens up my keypad, and I can now put in additional information in there. I just put in test for right now. And anything that I type in there is recorded in the audit trail that is available for our operators to provide to your alert contacts during the missed safety check alarm event. So it's providing that additional level of location tracking information. So very helpful. I just will demonstrate again too, is if I tap on the check-in button again, it'll bring up that box again. It does again allow me where I can put in the location details. But if I want to actually go bypass this, if I tap on where it says check-in right there, I can actually just bypass the screen and perform a check-in that way as well. So I'm going to skip over the third one here for a moment and come back to that. Send location updates as my position changes. This is again under the settings in the lower right-hand corner. So when I tap on that one and toggle it on, you'll notice now there's a GPS pin spinning in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And this now is actually tracking my location live as I am moving around. you know, I always kind of say this is a fairly unique risk or hazard where you may need this feature, but it is available there. You know, we might, I think when Rial is showing you the dashboard later, we might be able to demonstrate what that kind of appears like on the map view for you. But so it is there, it is tracking your location live. There's really two other times within the app that it automatically goes into this live location tracking, and that is when someone hits the emergency button. Maybe Rial was talking about that earlier, and also when we are in the safe walk mode. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to go back into settings here and turn this off, this option here. And the last one I'm going to talk about here is send location updates when my safety check is due. Now, this is a new feature that isn't available on the current app. It's going to be coming out very soon. And what this does, for example, is if a person had their frequency set for 2 hours and 10 minutes before when the time was about to expire, the app would automatically take a GPS pin of where the person is, so that if the person was to miss their safety check, we would have a more up-to-date GPS location of where this person is. Otherwise, the latest information that we would have had on this person would have been really 2 hours out of date from their last successful safety check. So we think this is a really great enhancement, and it will just help our operators provide, you know, more up-to-date data and better location information for the alert contacts during a missed safety check alarm.
Yeah, really going forward with this enhancement, and we're quite excited about it, because not only do we know where you are when you check in, but we now will have a good sense of where you are when you miss a safety check. And that's, you know, that's when it's critical that we provide your alert contacts with that information.
Yeah, absolutely, Rial. And the last feature I'll just tell you about is in the lower right-hand corner, the Safe Walk feature. What Safe Walk does is when it's activated, I say it creates a pending emergency alarm, and it allows a user to generate an emergency alarm in a little bit more discreet way. So when you activate, it does go into the live location tracking. And really right now, at any point, if I was to, any action, if I was to hit my power button on the side of my phone or my home button, it would generate that instant emergency alarm. And we use this scenario often where somebody may be leaving their office late at night, and they're maybe going through a dark parking lot and heading up to their car. They could turn this feature on, have their phone in their pocket or by their side, generate that emergency alarm a little bit more discreetly if something ever was to happen. Of course, if they were safe in their vehicle, they could just simply tap where it says turn Safe Walk off to turn this feature off. And you'll notice that entire time my safety checks were uninterrupted. They're still continuing as they are. So, and then basically, I've shown you most of the features within the app. I just want to demonstrate too. So at the end of someone's workday now, if they were completed and they didn't need the safety checks anymore, they would just simply tap the deactivate button. I can again go past this box here, but just tapping deactivate, and you can see it's now all of my safety checks are turned off. The app is not tracking my location anymore, and that's it. So yeah, very simple, very user-friendly, very intuitive app that we have. A few other options across the bottom of the screen on the app. There's the toll-free button to call our emergency monitoring center if anybody has a question, or if there's an alarm and they need to call into there.
Maybe, Randy, we're just running short on time, so maybe if I can just take over and we can just get into the dashboard now.
You bet, Rial. I'm just going to stop sharing here now.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Randy. With the last few minutes I have, I want to get into the dashboard for you administrators. And the simplest way to get into the dashboard is to go to our website, ProTELECCheckmate.com, and you'll see up on the right-hand side near the top, the client login. So that's where you would go. And then that'll take you to the login screen. And as administrators, you will all have a user ID and password. If you're not sure of it, if you don't have it, please contact us, Randy or myself or Doug, Hannah, and we'll be happy to get you that information. So you enter your user ID and password, you log in, and then you get the main page of the dashboard. And there's a lot of information from this page that we'll go through quite quickly. But you'll see on the left, it'll list all your users. and at the top it'll tell you how many users you have under this account. So we have 6 lone workers here. And beside the name, some of the names have the phone icon and one name at the bottom does not. So if the phone icon is beside the name, that indicates that that person has the Safe Alone app on their phone, and that's how they're really using it. So, and then you've got the phone numbers that are associated with the users, and then we've got the status. So at a glance, you'll know whether the CheckMate is on and safety checks are occurring. So in this case, you see that Allison, safety checks on, Doug Hanna, safety checks off, Randy's personal cell off, and then his business cell is on. And then mine should have been on, and it's not at the moment. So that then tells you the status, and those that are on, then you get the frequency. So it indicates, you know, how often the safety checks are occurring. And then the really important information is in the next 3 boxes. And this tells you if your users are using the system or not. So in the last 24 hours, how often have they used it? In the last 7 days. And then have they had any alarms over the last 7 days? So at a glance, you now know if everyone is using the system like they should. And that's really one of the keys, and one of our greatest concerns from CheckMate is, you know, as a company, you've invested in this, and you've laid out procedures and policies, what they should be following, and then this is really, you know, the sort of the truth part is, are they using it or not? So this is a nice, simple way for you to look to see if they're using it and how often, and or if people are having problems with it, as alarms may indicate if they're having false alarms. Now, if you go further to the right, we have 3 icons here. The first icon is a map. The second icon is the history button. And then the third icon is for cloning, so adding users. And that you don't need to worry about. We certainly will provide that service for you. But for the mapping, so this is the individual mapping of that, where that person was for their check-ins. But if you go back up to the top of the screen, you'll see a dashboard button and a map button. And so, and I'll just click on this map button, and this will pull up the last check-ins for your users that have the app. So these are the last known check-ins from each of our users of this account. And if you hover over a check-in, it'll tell you who it is and when they last checked in. So this is Randy, and he checked in 1 minute and 38 seconds ago. This is Allison, she checked in 40 minutes ago, and so on. So you can easily get a sense of where they were. So this was me yesterday. My last check-in was yesterday at 4:32 p.m. And as you also see there, I had an accuracy of 4.7 meters. So that accuracy is dependent on the number of satellites in the sky at the time that the phone sees. So that accuracy will go up and down depending on where the person is when they check in. If, for example, they check in a building, there'll be less satellites seen, and so the accuracy could be not as great. So that's the mapping perspective. And then if we wanted to go into one person, you could unclick them all, and then so I'd like to see Randy's personal cell. And Randy, I think you said if I go back a day or two?
Yeah, if you pick on mine there and go back maybe a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a good indication. So if you want to see, you know, if I wanted to see what Randy, where he was on that day, you can look, and it'll show all the markings of where he's been when he's checked in, and or if he had the one feature on, which is update my coordinates as I move, then you would see more safety checks. And if you even hover over it, again, you'll see when it occurred, the accuracy, and then in this case, we see he was moving at 86.8 kilometers an hour, which I'm fairly certain is a little above the speed limit, but we'll ignore that at the moment. So now,
6 kilometers over.
yes. So now back to the dashboard. The one last feature I want to talk about is the history button. So that's this, and this is important because this is for this, as Randy had mentioned earlier, audit trail. Every safety check, every alarm, everything is logged in our system and is there for you to review or to go back to at any time. If there was an incident involving a lone worker and audit was done by WorkSafe, and they wanted to see that you did in fact have a communication system in set up and checking on your lone workers, well, this would be where you would go, and you could generate a report that would show any day of the week or month, however you'd like to do it. So, and then you can drop down so you can say what you want to see. Do you want to see alarms, check-ins, end alarms? So in this case, we'll just do alarms for me for the month of September. And there were a few for me. And then if you want to see the details, so you'll see the whole process. So the original safety notification, I had a safety check notification at 6:28 p.m. on September 14th. I didn't respond to it in the next 2 minutes. So then I received the automated phone call, which I didn't answer, which then created a missed safety check alarm. Our operator then called me on my cell phone. They got a hold of me. I was okay, and I forgot to deactivate. They verified that they were speaking to me with my PIN, and then they deactivated the event for me, or the schedule. So a lot of information here, and it's all at your fingertips. Now, one more thing I should mention is you can also get set up, and many of you are set up to receive weekly or monthly summary reports, which is a great way to ensure that your users are using the system. So you'll basically get a report that sort of looks like this dashboard, and it'll tell for each user how many safety checks in the last week and how many alarms, and that way you have a sense that they're using it as they should. I think I've covered everything. I guess the only other comment is that from this dashboard, you can also update, you can drill into a user's settings and you can change their schedule. You can update their alert contact list and things like that, and various other settings. But that really is a service that we provide at no additional charge. And all you really need to do is just email us of the change that you need, and we will do it at absolutely no charge, and usually it's same business day. So, you don't really need to worry about the sort of the setup of the account. We'll handle all that, and we really just want it there for you to use to protect your workers and ensure they're doing what they should.
Yeah.
Sorry, Randy.
I'll just add. I just wanted to add that for sure. Just kind of in summary too, for the dashboard itself, we can certainly provide you as account administrators additional training for you on. There's a little bit more that we can go into on the dashboard, but it's definitely a great tool for you to help manage your program, your CheckMate Working Alone program for your company, manage your workers, and a very useful tool. Just as a Safe Alone app is a very useful tool now for users, the dashboard is a great tool for you guys to use as account administrators, and we're here to help you in any way we can with providing. The last thing too is we also are also offering to set up administrators now as a free user. So if that is something that you're interested in, we know that you want to be able to support your teams as best you can, and to have that knowledge on both as administrator and also as a user, we think that's important. So we're often now setting up account administrators as sort of a free user within their account. And if that's something that you're interested in, then certainly feel free to reach out to myself or Doug or Rial even, and we can work with you to get you set up on that. So
absolutely. And here's our contact information that we said we'd provide for you. So do not hesitate to reach out to any of us with any of your questions, either by phone or email, and we'll sure respond quickly. Thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate your business, and be safe out there. Thank you.
We have, Rial, did you want to just address any of the questions that are coming in now, or?
We certainly could.
Yeah, I see there's one question that just came in. I know we're a little bit over on the time, but it just said,
Sure.
this was from one of the, I'm not sure if I should use the name or not, but it said here, can the check-in be at a specific time? For instance, I need to check in at 4 p.m. exactly.
Okay.
You want to speak
Sure.
to that one?
Yep. The schedules can be set up so that they can occur around that time. We can get it within 15-minute windows, but with the scheduling of phone calls through our system, we can't guarantee it'll be right at 4 o'clock, but we can schedule it so it'll be within 15 minutes, and it, quite often is very close to the time. So you can certainly do that. And then with the, you can time it as well with if they're using the app. It all depends when their last check-in was and what the frequency is. So there's many ways of doing it, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really comes down to user managed schedules or fixed schedules. And with fixed schedules, we can try to get those down a lot closer to those exact times. But yeah, that's, I think, the only formal question we had.
All the other questions. So so I would say at this point, thank you, everyone. And then again, any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.
Thank you, everybody, for your time today.
Thank you.
Have a good day.